And a happy Wednesday afternoon to you. 85 days away until the start of the NFL season. I'm Amanda Guerra with you. So minicamps, they're underway. And our Josina Anderson, she has been busy making her way around the Northeast today, seeing what the Jets are up to. The Jets with a 4-13 record in Zach Wilson's rookie season. The team hoping he can make some big strides in year two. Well, this offseason, the Jets not really making a huge splash overall, but they did get A's across the board for their draft, including an A from our own Pete Frisco. So let's welcome in the one and only Josina Anderson. She got the bright clothes memo today. We're looking good, girl. Hopping around yesterday, you were at the Browns. Today, the Jets. What are some of your biggest takeaways so far?
Well, just in coming here to Florham Park, New Jersey, and getting an opportunity to spend some time with the Jets, albeit it's been a little bit of a while. But the difference now, why we're here, is because there is some optimism and some positive vibes that are around this team. I think that are just kind of still on the heels of that incredible draft that they had in April, adding some really key pieces. Obviously, you have the lore from their head coach and Robert Saleh, the energy that he brings, and just collecting that with the new personnel that they add. You can't help but notice that, on the field and feel that energy. I mean, we're talking to guys like Sauce Gardner, obviously, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, even some of the folks that they brought over in free agency, and Jordan Whitehead and CJ Uzomah and Laken Tomlinson and Tyler Conklin or what have you. These guys have some really interesting pieces. And when you think about a team like the Bengals, who prior to being in the Super Bowl this past season, having 4 wins the year before, and then being able to go from that to 10 wins, winning the AFC North, and then getting to the Super Bowl. I mean, this is what I've been asking the guys around here. Kind of begs the question, can this team with this added firepower and the energy that their head coach bring that sort of turnaround this season? And I think that's why you're seeing the national media out here, the renewed kind of interest, from the national media perspective around this team. I think it's just very exciting.
All right, so they had the great draft. You have this optimism. You can look at a team like the Bengals and say, hey, we can do that. But look, the Jets haven't made the postseason since 2010. They have had one winning season since then. So how do they put all that together and actually improve on last year's record?
Well, you're obviously starting with the quarterback in Zach Wilson. This team is going to ebb and flow with his maturation curve, and there's quite a lot for him to learn from last year in his rookie experience. And also, there were times when he was on the sideline and having to watch, his backup, Mike White, perform and then not perform, and kind of going through that as well. But this is a crucial year for him to make that step. One of the things that they did was try to reduce the amount of voices in his ear from last year compared to this year, just making sure that that's the quarterback coach and also his offensive coordinator and Mike LaFleur and Rob Calabrese, and obviously just trying to streamline the communication and taking that next step in terms of how he's commanding the offense, introducing some of these new pieces as well, dealing with some of the youth that he has at wide receivers, although a lot of potential there, and then trying to extrapolate from the veteran wisdom in a wide receiver kind of like Corey Davis, and just continuing to assimilate into this offense and building into that next step. I mean, when you look about the potential around this team, everything is going to kind of flow with how he does. I think it'll be very interesting to see not only how he manages when things are going good, but also when things are not going that well. That's why I asked him during the press conference that he had about an hour ago, what are some of the things that he's taken away from not just his experience while he's here, but away from the field that will kind of feed into his ability to handle pressure and handle adversity in this market. And he basically said that, he hears the noise outside, that although no one knows what's going on, he said, outside of this building, but just, some of the haters and some of the doubts that is around him, he's trying to use that to fuel him, obviously build on those expectations and carry this team.
I know you were able to talk to Robert Saleh one-on-one today. We're going to hear a little bit more of that later this hour. He did address, though, Zach Wilson. Here's some of what he had to say.
No, it is, guys. He had, obviously, it's well documented. He had a rough rookie year. I mean, we all did. I did, including myself. So Just in terms of growing, people are forgetting that he's got a young offensive supporting cast. His receivers are young, his backs are young, the O-line is just gelling together. He's young. And so for Zach, really, it's just to continue to progress and becoming the starter a starting quarterback and moving in the direction that we all know that he's capable of. He doesn't need to be Tom Brady this year. He doesn't need to be, now if he ends up being that, that's awesome, but that's not the expectation for him. The expectation is for him to continue to climb that mountain that's quarterback play in this league. And we all got his back, and he's got a supporting cast that's working its tail off, and from there it's just piecing it together.
So, Jojo, we're hearing from Robert Saleh there saying, look, he doesn't have to be Tom Brady. If he is Tom Brady, that's going to be great. I know you were able with the media to talk to Zach Wilson and also Robert Saleh. Anything more that you're hearing from these two about what we can actually expect from Zach Wilson this upcoming season?
Well, it's interesting because I was having a conversation with one of the media members here, and one of the things, I won't say who it was, but he was just pointing out, that Zach Wilson is still young. And the comment that I had back to that person was, but he's not paid like he's young. You know what I'm saying? And so the expectation is still there for him, regardless of the fact that he's still in his young 20s. And the other thing to consider for this team, and I did pose that question to Robert Saleh, is, you want him to obviously be healthy and to sustain throughout the season. But when you analyze the quarterback depth of this team and having Joe Flacco at 37, behind Zach Wilson, and then you have Mike White, who's 27 and had that good game for 400 passing yards, 4 touchdowns against the Bengals, and I think 2 games after that had a little bit of a low point with the 4 interception game. I believe it was against the Bills after that. What are you looking at as far as shoring up, just in case something happens to Zach Wilson, especially when there are teams looking at a Baker Mayfield and what have you. And Robert Saleh was very firm in telling me that they feel very comfortable with the quarterback depth that they not only have here, but the influence that Flacco is having on someone who is young and still trying to develop their voice, still trying to develop themselves at the line of scrimmage. And Zach Wilson and what the consideration would be if you did bring in someone like that, and whether Zach Wilson can handle that, which is a separate topic. But, those are some of the things as you analyze this team, because everything looks great when everyone's 0-0 in the preseason and there's a lot of optimism. But those are the things that you deal with in the course of the season is attrition, and whether not only the quarterback is ready to handle those ebbs and flows, but is the team prepared to handle, the attrition at the most critical position as well.
Josina, talk to me a little bit about Mekhi Becton, of course, number 11 overall pick in 2020, showed promise there as a rookie, had an MCL injury in week 1 this past season, ruled him out for all of it. What's the update on him?
Yeah, very interesting, because obviously not only do you need Zach Wilson to perform well, but obviously the guy protecting him on the blind side at left tackle. And you mentioned Mekhi Becton there, who had that knee injury in the season opener last year, didn't play the rest of the regular season and missed most of the spring practices here, obviously showed up for mandatory. But coach let us know that we're not expected to see him until training camp as far as those practices. But while Mekhi Becton was out, George Fant was able to step up in his stead over on the left side. And so that position is open for competition between those two, because what coach is trying to highlight is that he wants people to honor and recognize the work, despite Mekhi Becton's pedigree, the work that George Fant did protecting Zach Wilson on that outside. So it will be a competition there. And I did ask coach about how he's balancing setting performance targets for Mekhi Becton to keep him incentivized and keep him engaged and getting back in football shape, while also managing, the work that George Fant did. So that will be something that we'll be keeping an eye on when we all come back after this break for the July training camp, right? Just to kind of see how that develops out there. But right now, obviously, just trying to get himself back in football shape, not just in being out there shape.
Look, Josina, positive, report, I guess I should say, out there from New Jersey with the Jets. Look, it's the most hope that Jets fans have had in quite some time. What's going on? 4-13. They haven't been in the postseason since 2010. What do you feel like are your realistic expectations for the Jets heading into this season?
Well, and getting ready to, prepare to come here for the Jets, I was reading this report about how a lot of people, and I did ask the head coach about this out the gate. I'm not so much sure how much he appreciated that, but I had to ask him because I think it's interesting that a lot of people around the country are placing their bets on this team to win the Super Bowl. And so I think that's something to harness and try to feed into. And it's not just, oh, shoot, what's next or can we handle this, but more of a mentality about why.
Look, we got to the end of our report almost, but you talked about it there, the hope of Josina Anderson. It looks like we had a little bit of technical difficulties with her there. But taking a look at the Jets schedule, it is a little bit difficult there off the top, facing the Ravens, the Browns, the Bengals, and the Steelers. You heard Josina talk a lot about the hope that Jets fans saw with what the Bengals were able to do in Joe Burrow's second year there, hoping maybe they can have the same from Zach Wilson, along with the incredible draft that they had.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.